The desperate call Captain Sarah Chun adjusted her coffee mug as the bridge of the Defiant Hope hummed with quiet efficiency. 3 months into their deep space exploration mission, her crew had mapped 17 star systems and discovered 4 potentially habitable worlds. It was good work, a kind that made Earth proud of its newest space explorers. "Captain," called Lieutenant Tan Rodriguez from the communication station, his voice carrying an unusual tension. "I'm picking up something strange on the long-range sensors. It's a distress signal, but the frequency is unlike anything in our databases." Sarah set down her coffee and moved to Tom's station. The young officer had been with her crew for 2 years, and she trusted his instincts. "Show me what you've got." The main screen flickered to life, displaying a complex waveform pattern. The signal pulsed with desperate urgency, even though Sarah couldn't understand the language. There was something about the rhythm, the way it repeated, that spoke of fear and hope combined. "It's coming from the Zarian system," Tom continued, his fingers dancing across the controls. "About 4 light years from our current position. The signal is incredibly weak, like it's been traveling for months." Dr. Marcus Webb, the ship's xenobiologist, looked up from his research station. "Captain, may I suggest we investigate? First contact protocols aside, someone out there needs help." Sarah nodded slowly. As humans ventured deeper into space, they had learned that the galaxy was full of intelligent life, but most species kept to themselves. The Galactic Coalition existed, but humanity was still considered too young and inexperienced to join. This could be their chance to prove themselves. "Set course for the Zarian system," she ordered. "Maximum safe speed." The journey took 18 hours. When they arrived, Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The system's single inhabited world was a barren-looking planet orbiting close to a red dwarf star. But what made her gasp was the moon. It was breaking apart. "My God," whispered Dr. Webb. "Look at those fracture lines. The entire lunar surface is cracking like an eggshell." "Tom, are you getting any response to our hails?" Sarah asked. "Yes, Captain. Translating now." Tom's face grew pale as he worked. "Captain, they're called the Cathari. They live underground on that moon. The whole thing is destabilizing from the core outward. They have maybe 3 weeks before complete collapse." "How many people are we talking about?" 43 million, Captain." The number hit Sarah like a physical blow. 43 million people facing certain death as their world literally fell apart beneath them. Open a channel. Let's talk to them directly. The main screen shifted to show a figure that made Sarah's heart ache. The Cathari who appeared was clearly elderly, with gentle eyes that held both wisdom and desperation. His skin had a crystalline quality, and when he spoke, his voice carried the weight of a dying world. "Unknown vessel," the Cathari said through the translation matrix. "This is Elder Thane of the Cathari colony. We thank you for responding to our call. We have been sending distress signals for 4 months, but you are the first to answer." "Elder Thane, I'm Captain Sarah Chun of the human vessel Defiant Hope. We want to help, but I need to understand your situation better. How did this happen?" The elder's expression grew heavy with sorrow. "Our moon's core has become unstable. Our geologists believe it was caused by excessive mining operations over the past century. We are a peaceful people, Captain Chun. We mine precious metals and rare elements, trading them throughout the galaxy. But our success has become our doom." Dr. Webb leaned forward. "Elder, have you requested aid from the Galactic Coalition?" "We have tried, Dr. Webb. Our Ambassador Zix has spoken to every major power in the galaxy. The results have been disappointing." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "What exactly did they say?" Ambassador Zix appeared on screen beside Elder Thane. She was younger, but her eyes held the same desperate hope. "Captain Chun, The Voric Empire said that evacuating 43 million people would be economically unfeasible. The Zephyrian Confederacy claimed they lacked the transport capacity. The Altarian Republic stated that interfering with natural disasters violated their prime directive. The Galactic Coalition itself? Sarah asked, though she was beginning to suspect the answer. The coalition voted last month. Ambassador Zix continued. The motion to provide emergency aid was rejected by a vote of 1,247 to 89. Only the smaller, less powerful species voted in favor of helping us. Sarah stood in stunned silence. 43 million people had been condemned to death by bureaucratic vote. She thought of Earth's history, of how humans had always rushed to help during disasters. When earthquakes struck, nations sent rescue teams. When floods came, communities pulled together. The idea of abandoning an entire species was incomprehensible. Elder Thane, Sarah said carefully, what would it take to evacuate your people? We have been calculating this for months, Captain. Our people live in vast underground cities carved into the moon's interior. We would need approximately 2,000 large transport vessels, working continuously for 3 weeks. We have managed to build 47 evacuation pods ourselves, but 47 pods for 43 million people, Dr. Webb said quietly. Yes, each pod can carry perhaps 1,000 of our people, but only for short distances. We need ships capable of interstellar travel. Sarah's mind raced. Humanity had maybe 300 ships capable of interstellar transport, and most were either military vessels or commercial freighters. Even if they could convince every human ship in space to help, it wouldn't be enough. Elder Thane, we need to contact our government on Earth. This is bigger than one ship can handle. But I want you to know that we won't abandon you. The elders' crystalline features seemed to brighten slightly. You would truly help us, Captain Chun, even though your species barely knows us? Elder, where I come from, when someone needs help, you help them. It doesn't matter if they're human or alien, rich or poor, powerful or weak. You help because it's the right thing to do. After the communication ended, Sarah sat in her captain's chair, staring at the dying moon. Dr. Webb approached her quietly. Captain, you realize what this means? If we help them, we'll be defying the will of the entire Galactic Coalition. We could be banned from galactic politics before we even join. And if we don't help them, Marcus, 43 million people die. Can you live with that? Before Dr. Webb could answer, Tom interrupted. Captain, we're receiving another transmission. This one's from the Voric Empire. The screen filled with the imposing figure of a Voric military commander. The alien's insectoid features were hard and unforgiving, and when he spoke, his voice carried clear menace. Human vessel, this is Commander Vex of the Voric Imperial Navy. You are ordered to cease all contact with the Cathari and depart this system immediately. The Galactic Coalition has ruled on this matter. Your interference will not be tolerated. Sarah stood slowly, meeting the alien commander's gaze. Commander Vex, we are in international space conducting a humanitarian mission. We have every right to be here. You have no rights here, human. Your species is not even a member of the Coalition. You are nothing but primitives, playing with technology you barely understand. Leave now, or face the consequences. The transmission ended, leaving Sarah's bridge in tense silence. She looked around at her crew, seeing determination mixed with fear in their faces. They were light years from home, facing the most powerful military force in the galaxy, and contemplating a rescue mission that seemed impossible. Tom, send if possible. Tom, send a phone. Priority message to Admiral Torres at Earth Command. Full details on the situation here. Tell her we need every available ship if we're going to have any chance of saving these people. Captain, Dr. Webb said quietly. "Are you sure about this? We're talking about defying the entire galactic community." Sarah looked at the moon on the main screen, imagining the millions of people in underground cities, watching their world crack apart around them. She thought about the elders' grateful expression when she promised they wouldn't be abandoned. She thought about what it meant to be human. "Marcus, my grandmother used to tell me stories about World War II. She said that when the Nazis were murdering millions of people, most of the world stood by and did nothing. They had their reasons, politics, economics, fear. But there were some people who decided that doing nothing was worse than taking a stand." She turned to face her crew. "The Cathari aren't asking us to fight a war. They're asking us to save lives. If we turn our backs on them now, what does that say about humanity? What does that say about who we are?" Tom looked up from his station. "Captain, I've sent the message to Earth Command, but the Voric fleet is moving. 3 battleships are heading this way." Sarah nodded grimly. "Then we'd better hope humanity decides to be the species that stands up when everyone else sits down." As the Defiant Hope held position in the Zirian system, Sarah Chun prepared for what might be humanity's first great moral test among the stars. The galaxy had already made its choice. Now it was time to see what humans were really made of. The breaking moon continued its slow dance of destruction, and somewhere in its depths, 43 million people waited to see if hope would come. From the youngest species in the galaxy, Asterisk. When humanity stands alone, Admiral Rebecca Torres stood before the emergency session of the United Earth Council, her uniform crisp despite the 18 hours of non-stop meetings. The holographic displays around the chamber showed the grim reality of the Zarian system, a dying moon and 43 million people facing extinction. "The situation is clear," Admiral Torres began, her voice carrying the weight of command. "The Cathari have perhaps 2 weeks before their moon completely. Fragments. Captain Chun's assessment is correct. We need massive transport capacity to evacuate their population." President James Mitchell leaned forward in his chair. "Admiral, give me the numbers. What would it take?" "Sir, if we mobilize every transport ship in the human fleet, every cargo vessel, every passenger liner, we could potentially evacuate 12 million people. That's less than 30% of their population." The council chamber erupted in heated discussion. Representative Sarah Kim from the Luna colony spoke first. "Admiral, the Voric Empire has already issued economic sanctions against any human colony that participates in this rescue. Mars has reported that their trade agreements are being threatened." "These are people's lives we're talking about," countered Representative Carlos Mendez from the Europa station. "How can we just abandon them?" Dr. Elena Vasquez, Earth's leading expert on alien engineering, stood to address the council. "I've been studying the Cathari's mining technology. These people have solved problems that our best engineers are still working on. Their crystalline-based construction methods could revolutionize our space habitats. So now we're supposed to save them because they might be useful to us?" Representative Kim shot back. "No," Dr. Vasquez replied firmly. "We save them because it's right. I'm simply pointing out that doing the right thing might also benefit us." President Mitchell called for order. "The question before us is simple. Do we risk humanity's future in galactic politics to save a species that no one else will help?" The debate continued for hours. Messages flooded in from human colonies across space. Some supported the rescue mission, inspired by humanity's history of helping others. Others feared the economic consequences of defying the galactic powers. Finally, President Mitchell stood. "I've made my decision. We're going to help the Cathari. Admiral Torres, you have command of Operation Starbridge. Every available ship, every volunteer crew. We save as many as we can." The response from the galactic community was immediate and harsh. The Voric Empire froze all human assets in their space. The Altarian Republic closed their borders to human ships. The Zephyrian Confederacy issued a formal warning that any human vessel found in Cathari space would be considered hostile. Within days, the human fleet began arriving in the Zirian system. Captain Chun watched from the bridge of the Defiant Hope as ship after ship appeared. The massive cargo hauler New Horizon from Mars, the passenger liner Star of Earth, carrying volunteers from the Sol system. Even the luxury yacht Golden Dream, whose billionaire owner had volunteered his personal vessel. "Captain," Tom reported, "we now have 847 human vessels in system. Admiral Torres is requesting all ship commanders report to the flagship." The holographic conference room aboard Admiral Torres' command ship buzzed with activity. Hundreds of ship captains had answered the call, from military officers to civilian volunteers. Admiral Torres looked tired but determined. "Captains, you all know why we're here. The Cathari evacuation has become humanity's first great test in the galactic community. We're not just saving lives, we're defining who we are as a species." Captain Maria Santos of the freighter Iron Will raised her hand. "Admiral, my ship is designed for cargo, not people. How do we adapt our vessels for the Cathari's needs?" Dr. Vasquez stepped forward. "The Cathari's crystalline biology requires specific atmospheric conditions. We've developed modification kits that can convert cargo holds into suitable habitats. It's not comfortable, but it will keep them alive during transport." "What about the Vorthic fleet?" asked Captain David Park of the military cruiser Vigilant. "Intelligence reports suggest they're moving significant forces toward this system." Admiral Torres nodded grimly. "Commander Vex has positioned 15 battleships at the system's edge. They're not attacking yet, but they're making their presence known. We'll use the asteroid belt and the moon's debris field for cover, but if they decide to stop us by force, then we fight," Captain Sean said. "Quietly. We didn't come this far to run away when things get dangerous." The evacuation began immediately. The modified human ships could carry fewer people than originally hoped, but they worked with desperate efficiency. Dr. Vasquez and her team had created portable atmospheric processors that could maintain Cathari living conditions in any enclosed space. Captain Shun piloted the Defiant Hope down to the moon's surface, landing near one of the major Cathari cities. The underground metropolis was a marvel of engineering. Vast caverns carved from solid rock, connected by tunnels that stretched for kilometers. But everywhere she looked, she could see the signs of impending collapse. Cracks in the walls, fallen debris, emergency support beams holding up sections of tunnel. Elder Thane met her at the landing site, accompanied by a young Cathari who couldn't have been more than a child by their species standards. "Captain Shun," the elder said, his voice heavy with gratitude. "This is Pip, my granddaughter. She represents the future of our people, if we have one." The young Cathari looked up at Sarah with eyes full of wonder. "Captain, is it true that your people came from across the galaxy just to help us?" Sarah knelt down to the child's level. "Yes, Pip, that's what humans do. We help our friends. But we're not humans. We're different. Being different doesn't matter. What matters is that you need help, and we can give it." The loading process was heartbreaking. Families said goodbye to their homes, carrying only what they could fit in. Small bags. The Cathari had lived on this moon for thousands of years, and now they were leaving everything behind as the Defiant Hope filled with refugees. Sarah received an urgent message from Admiral Torres. "Sarah, the Vorthic fleet is moving. Commander Vex has issued a final ultimatum: cease the evacuation or face military action." Through the ship's viewports, Sarah could see the Vorthic battleships approaching. They were massive, dark vessels that looked like they had been built for war and nothing else. The human fleet, by comparison, was a collection of cargo ships passenger liners, and converted civilian vessels. "Admiral," Sarah transmitted back, "how many Cathari have we evacuated?" "So far, 18 million. We're loading as fast as we can, but we need more time." And we buy them time. The confrontation came at the edge of the system's asteroid belt. Commander Vex's flagship emerged from the debris field, weapons powered and ready. The alien commander's image appeared on screens throughout the human fleet. "Human vessels, you have ignored our warnings and violated Galactic Coalition law. You will cease this operation immediately and surrender your ships for inspection." Admiral Torres responded from the bridge of her command ship. "Commander Vex, we are engaged in a humanitarian rescue operation. We have no hostile intent toward your forces. Your intent is irrelevant. You are undermining galactic stability. The Cathari were condemned by democratic vote. Their fate is sealed. Since when is saving lives a crime? Since it threatens the established order. You have 10 minutes to begin evacuation procedures, or we will open fire." The human fleet formed a defensive formation around the transport ships. It was a hopeless gesture. The Voric battleships outgunned them 10-1. But no one suggested retreat. Captain Chun watched the countdown on her screen. 9 minutes. 8. 7. The Cathari refugees in her cargo holds were singing softly, their harmonic voices filling the ship with hauntingly beautiful music. 6 minutes. 5. 4. "Admiral," came a transmission from the passenger liner Star of Earth. "We've got more ships incoming. Unknown configuration." Sarah's heart leaped as she saw the new arrivals. A small fleet of vessels she didn't recognize, followed by others. She did. A Zephyrian medical ship, an Altarian transport, a collection of independent traders flying under the Free Merchant's banner. "Human fleet," came a transmission from the lead unknown vessel. "This is Captain Kess of the Healer's Oath. We are a coalition of species who believe the Galactic Council was wrong. We are here to help." More ships continued to arrive. Not the major powers, but smaller species, individual captains, medical organizations, and trade unions. They had seen humanity's courage and decided they couldn't stand by and watch. "Commander." Vex's voice cut through the communications. "What is the meaning of this? You have no authority here." Captain Kess replied calmly, "Commander, we have every right to be in neutral space. Unless you're planning to attack civilian vessels engaged in humanitarian work." The standoff continued for tense minutes. Commander Vex's battleships held position, but they were now facing not just the human fleet, but a coalition of dozens of species. The political implications of attacking such a diverse group would be enormous. Finally, Commander Vex spoke again. "Human Admiral, you have created a dangerous precedent. The Galactic Council will remember this." "Commander, Admiral." Torres replied, "Humanity will remember that when people needed help, some species stood up and others stood aside. The galaxy will judge us all by our actions here." The Voric fleet withdrew, but the evacuation continued under their watchful presence. With the additional ships from the Volunteer Coalition, the rescue operation accelerated dramatically. The Cathari's underground cities, emptied as transport after transport lifted off from the dying moon. Dr. Vasquez worked tirelessly to solve the technical challenges of moving so many people. Her innovative use of the Cathari's own mining technology to create emergency habitats made the difference between saving thousands and saving millions. As the final transport ships lifted off, Sarah stood on the bridge of the Defiant Hope, watching the moon in its death throes. Massive chunks of rock were breaking away from the surface, and the internal structure was clearly visible through the cracks. "Captain," Tom reported, "Elder Thane is requesting to speak with you." The elderly Cathari appeared on screen, his crystalline features bright with emotion. Captain Shun, on behalf of all my people, I thank you. You have given us our lives, our future, our children's future. We will never forget what humanity has done for us. Elder, you don't need to thank us. This is what anyone should have done. But they didn't, Captain. Every other species in the galaxy chose politics over lives. Only humanity chose to stand up when everyone else sat down. Young Pip appeared beside her grandfather. Captain Shun, when I grow up, I want to be like you. I want to help people who need help, Sarah smiled. Pip, you don't need to be like me. You just need to be like you. The galaxy needs people who care more about doing right than being safe. As the human fleet prepared to depart the Zarian system, carrying millions of Cathari refugees to new homes, Sarah reflected on what they had accomplished. They had saved a species from extinction, defied the most powerful forces in the galaxy, and proven that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their military might, but their refusal to abandon those in need. The Cathari moon gave its final shudder and broke apart completely, its fragments scattering into space. But its people lived on, saved by a species that had chosen compassion over politics, courage over safety, and hope over fear. Months later, the Cathari refugees had established new colonies on human worlds, their unique mining expertise helping to build better habitats for everyone. The volunteer coalition that had formed during the rescue had grown into a new alliance of species dedicated to humanitarian work. And in the galactic community, a new phrase had emerged. When someone needed help and the major powers refused to act, beings across the galaxy would say, "Don't worry, the humans will come." It was a reputation that humanity wore with pride, and one that would define their place in the galaxy for generations to come. They had learned that being the youngest species in the galactic community didn't mean being the weakest. Sometimes it meant being the one with the courage to do what others wouldn't. Asterisk.